Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the In-Home Personal Services Virtual Job Fair event. I would like to introduce you to Adriana. Adriana will tell you about her company, job openings, and how to apply for those openings. After she does so, we will have a Q&A session that will be taking place. So if you do have questions for the In-Home Personal Services team, please feel free to direct those to the chat feature, and we'll be sure to get an answer to your questions when we get to that Q&A portion of the event. Without further ado, I do believe we have Jerry with the local WorkNet Center on to present a few slides for us. Jerry, are you available to present?
Yes, hello. How are you guys? Thank you all for coming to this event today. We're very pleased to have Adriana from In-Home Personal Services here. I don't know, Daniel, if you can advance the slides, but there's probably a slide or two that we have. Yeah, so just a little bit about your local WorkNet Center. We are WorkNet Batavia, serving Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb counties, but if you want to, or if you live or work in a different area, be sure to check with your local area to see where the WorkNet Center is, or feel free to reach out to us. We are set up to be a one-stop center for anyone who is looking for a new position or looking for extra training, for advancing to different positions. So please reach out to us when you are available. I think there may be another slide, Daniel. No, we're going straight to In-Home Personal Services. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Adriana. Thank you for joining us today. And we're going to hear a little bit about the positions available at In-Home Personal Services. Take it away, Adriana.
Hi, so I'm Yolandis, and I'm co-leading this with Adriana. So I was going to start out, and we're just kind of tag teaming our presentation, if that's okay.
Of course.
Go for it, Yolanda.
Okay. All right. So if you could forward to our first slide, please. Thank you. Let me get out of this. So In-Home Personal Services, we provide in-home care for not only those who are aging loved ones, but people of all ages. We provide the in-home care where it's non-medical. We're always hiring, and today we really just want to tell you about the process of joining our team. We were founded by a family, and we have been in business for several years now. We're going to go through the specifics of all of that, and if you could forward our next slide, please. Okay, our caregivers have opportunities for growth at In-Home Personal Services that are almost never available at other companies. If you go through our leadership staff, nearly all of them have been promoted from within. And I can speak from this from personal experience. I'm one of the newer persons at In-Home Personal Services, and I have met so many people that have been there 15 years and up, and they have been promoted within. I know one lady, she started when she was in high school, and now she's one of our administrators. So we do have sponsorship opportunities that we will talk about. Training is ongoing. We try to get you in there as soon as possible, what works for your schedule. Recently, we have had trainings that are weekly, and we kind of just fit it to the persons who are coming on. And we also offer flexible schedules, and there's always recognition in the company. We really pride our employees and want to make sure that they are comfortable and that they are also referring people. And there's incentives for that as well. If you could forward to the next slide, please. So actually, Adriana, she's going to go on and talk a little bit more specifically about the job description. Adriana?
Yes, our caregiver job description talks a little bit about what our expectations coming from our caregivers. We provide exceptional non-medical care, enhancing the lives of IHPs clients, allowing them to maintain as much independence as possible, and then assisting our clients with accommodating activities of daily living and meeting the challenges of aging with dignity, care, and compassion. Some of the responsibilities for our caregivers that we are hiring are maintaining a working knowledge of all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations, perform all duties and responsibility in compliance with IDPH service definitions and limitations under the Illinois Administrative Code, Section 245, maintaining a strong understanding of all IHPS policies and procedures and uphold these standards in daily functions, assist IHPS clients with their activities of daily living and ensure the safety of both the client and themselves, while encouraging them to maintain as much independence as possible. Establishing a positive rapport with clients and maintain the highest level of professionalism in all interactions, observe changes in the client's conditions, and report all observations and concerns to the supervisor to ensure timely action. Provide timely and accurate and thorough documentations of observations, changes in conditions, or occurrences in accordance with IHPS policies and procedure. We also like to maintain daily time records according to the company policies and guidance, and then participate in all mandatory in-services meetings and quality assurance review as requested by the states, by state regulations and company policy, and then perform all other duties as determined by the Director of Services. Qualifications and experience. Excels in a fast-paced environment, manages time effectively to meet the needs of IHPS clients, demonstrates strong customer service and problem-solving skills, preferred at least 1 year of experience in-home services on healthcare. It's preferred, not required. And then be a team player with working effectively with others, and then exudes a passion and desire to care for the elderly. Requirements, we do have a requirement of at least 8 hours of training that is also provided by our company. They must pass a criminal background check in accordance with the healthcare worker background check, must submit to a negative test, drug and alcohol screening. And then we need a recent TB test with a negative result, a copy of a health exam, and they must be eligible for employment in the US. Our wages range from 15 to 20 dollars per hour for an hourly case. Our wages range a little bit. So depending on the level of care and the case, our wages do range from 15 to 20 dollars per hour. We also offer living caregiver services, and also depending on the level of care and on the case, the wages do change as well. But we are very flexible with schedules, and yeah, we work around like everybody's schedule. Yolandis, can you take over, please?
Sure. So we are not only in Illinois, we are in various states. And as you can see on the screen, there's a phone number or an email address that you can, an email address that you can visit to learn more about our sponsorship opportunities. And I'll just go quickly through the bullet points. The sponsorship opportunities, or that program, is to support the national professional caregiver worker shortages, which we all know is rampant in the United States and beyond. So we're trying to have more opportunities for people to be able to come here to the United States in some cases and work for our company. They'll go through all of the certifications that are necessary. If you look at the second bullet point, it says a friendly reminder, the person seeking work sponsorship should contact an experienced immigration lawyer to properly guide and represent him or her. It is important to seek legal advice if the caregiver sponsorship program applies to their specific case. We also have that type of lawyer on our side that is working with those potential employees as well. All inquiries will be addressed in the order that it was received. We have started to get quite a lot of different we have started to get a lot of people who are interested in this program. Some haven't known that it was available. So we pride ourselves in this program that we have and encourage everyone to share with someone who may be living out of our country that wants to work in this type of environment. The next slide, please. So the referral bonus program, I think it's a great program that we have. I spoke a little bit about incentives and recognition. To kind of sum this golden ticket up, when you start working for our company, if you know someone who works for the company and upon your hire, you provide their name to us, your name, and once you work a certain amount of hours, you both will be put in a drawing for, I believe the quarterly prize is $500. But once you work those 90, I believe it's
90 days.
90 days, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You both automatically get an award for bringing that new person on and for them staying with us at least 90 days. Then quarterly and annually, there's other bonuses where both of you your name will be put in a drawing for either the $500 on the screen or the $1,000. So again, the referral bonus is a great program for us, and this all ties into recognition as well. In the past, when we've had people participate in this, it's usually one of our employees who have been with us for a long time. And when they refer people, usually those are employees that stay with us as well for a long time. Next slide, please. Okay, so I guess this is for both Adriana and I, if there's any questions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for that presentation. And again, just want to reiterate, if you do have any questions for the in-home personal services team, please feel free to throw those into the chat. Of course, we'll get those answered for you. If not, in the meantime, I do have a few questions that I'd like to ask you both, if that is okay with you.
Sure.
Wonderful. So the first question that I do have for you is, how long does your hiring process typically take from the point of submitting an application to actually being extended that offer for hire?
So it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how fast someone is submitting their forms, the background check, drug screen, and then we do need a caregiver training program that they need to go through in order to be hired. So it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Adriana. The next question I do have for you is, are there any sort of minimum educational requirements that folks would need to have to be able to secure one of the roles that you covered here today?
No.
Excellent. Thank you for that as well. And can you folks elaborate a little bit more on your shift structure? Can you kind of explain what a typical day might look like working for in-home personal services?
Yes. So the services that we provide, that we offer for our seniors they're usually hourly structures that they're based from 1 to 2 hours, 3 to 4, or 5+. So just depending, like I said, depending on the case, the case might be a 9-hour shift. And then if the caregiver is willing to accept the shift, then they will be working 9 hours, either 5 times a week, 6 days a week. It's just, we go based off the availability of the caregiver. We do offer living caregiving services. This is where the caregiver will live with the client for a certain amount of depending on the case, again, for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then they'll have time off. It's just really, we really go based on the caregiver schedule and what they're willing to they want to work.
Understood. Thank you so much for that, Adriana. The next question I do have for you folks is, how can a candidate stand out and get an interview assuming they are qualified for the position in which they are applying? Are there any tips, tricks, pointers, things that folks should include on a resume or maybe mention in a pre-screening or even an interview that might help them kind of get a competitive edge and secure that spot with you?
No, I have something to share on this. I've been a part of the recruitment team. And one of the things when I would pre-screen potential employees, when they talked about right up front what their experience was, and they shared in detail what they did and I guess their day-to-day with the patient, and that always helps. But I think one of the most important things for me that I saw was people being on time when we would have virtual interviews, or when they would come to training, being on time, or if you're going to be late, make sure you let us know. All of those things we pay a lot of attention to, because it really kind of sets the tone for what type of employee you're going to be. If you're showing up late, 5 or 10 minutes late to your interview, or you're coming to training late the first day. So I would just encourage anyone who is interested just to make sure that you're keeping your word. And when in the interview, it's always also helpful for us to not always prompt all of the questions. When a person asks us questions as well, we find that that's very beneficial and shows that you do have an interest in the company.
Excellent information. Thank you for that. Next question that I do have for you all, since you are obviously kind of a healthcare social assistance agency, you know, I know we're kind of getting, at least ostensibly, on the other side of the pandemic, but nevertheless, I know a lot of folks have questions about how organizations are handling COVID safety precautions, in particular, you know, those that are in healthcare field. Could you kind of explain maybe what some of the precautions are that you all are currently having in place, maybe to mitigate some of the dangers, so to speak, of COVID?
Well, I can say, and Adriana, you may want to add to this, we follow all of the state guidelines, and we keep all of our employees aware of what those are. And usually that's through an email, some type of, we have group chats that we're all involved in. But if it's something that pertains to the state of Illinois or our specific counties that we cover, we make sure that we're following all of those mandates. So, Adriana, did you want to add anything to that?
I also want to add, so yeah, all of our caregivers, you know, are still, they're always wearing their mask, you know, they follow proper precautions and wearing gloves. We've, you know, it's part of our like policy to always wear gloves. We're always wearing, also there's some clients that prefer to have the caregivers wear the mask all the time, or they rather have caregivers that are vaccinated. You know, we're following all the precautions that as much as we can.
Excellent. Thank you both for that information. Another question that I do have for you is kind of one that I like to ask on all the events, and that's just, what are the opportunities for advancement within your organization? And in particular, are there any success stories maybe that you'd like to share with folks, just to give them a snapshot or an idea of what exactly is possible working at In-Home Personal Services?
So I know I can speak to that. I touched a little bit on it when I first started speaking. The specific example that I was giving of the lady who started in high school, she started as an aide, and she's gone through several different types of training and education. We also have a sister company that is an education company. It's called Matthews Education. She's gone through that and other types of training as well. And like I said, she is now the agency administrator. Other examples, I know people who have started out as caregivers, the exact position that we're talking about right now, who are now in leadership roles that work with what we call our care team that actually provides families with, pairing them up with our caregivers or their live-ins, as Adriana has spoke about. So those are, I can name probably 3 or 4 people right off, the top of my head, where people have come in as a caregiver and now are in leadership roles.
I want to add my own success story to that. I joined the company about 6 years ago, and I was myself a caregiver as well. So I've been promoted a few times already. I became a field director, and then I got another promotion in the franchise team. So that's my little own. I started as a caregiver as well.
Excellent. Thank you both for that. Those wonderful illustrations and sharing those with folks just to give them an idea of what exactly is possible as far as a career trajectory within home personal services. I do want to take a brief kind of pause here and just remind folks, if you do have any questions for the in-home personal services team, please feel free to either enter your questions into the chat or unmute yourself and ask your questions directly. And of course, we'll be sure to get you an answer as soon as you do. While we wait for any final questions to come in for the in-home personal services team, I do want to turn things back over to the team and allow you all to have kind of an opportunity to make any sort of concluding statements or final remarks that you'd like to make, maybe a takeaway from the presentation today for folks that are either tuning in today or will be tuning into the recording at a later date, if you'd like to do so at this time. And I'm not sure if Adriana, if you are speaking, you are muted, just an FYI. Excellent. Well, if there are no concluding remarks from the in-home personal services team regarding today's presentation, we'll go ahead and begin kind of the wrap up for the presentation today. Again, if you are joining as a job seeker and you would like to ask these folks any questions before we wrap things up, please feel free to do so now. Of course, you have a prime opportunity to ask these folks any questions that you have regarding any of the positions that were covered here today. We'll just wait a few seconds here to allow any final questions to come in. Excellent. Well, a few items that I do want to go ahead and cover here today before we wrap things up is that, as I've been stating, we have recorded this session. So for the folks that either joined late or weren't able to tune in that did register for the event, I will be posting this recording to the Illinois WorkNet YouTube channel under the virtual job fairs playlist. Real easy and simple to navigate to. Again, just go into YouTube, in the search bar, just enter Illinois WorkNet. When you get on the landing page, there'll be a playlist off to the left-hand side, and you'll see one for virtual job fairs. You click on that, and we have recordings for all of our events that we host, including this one. So of course, you'll be able to review the presentation that was covered here today and any information that you might want to review prior to submitting those applications. The other thing that I want to note here as well is we did record everybody's contact information and demographical information. We did set up the registration page, so I will be forwarding that information on not only to the local WorkNet Center there, but also to the employer directly. So to the folks at In-Home Personal Services, do expect an email from me with that information within 48 hours of the conclusion of this event. And last but not least, I want to turn things back over to the folks at the local WorkNet Center to maybe make any concluding remarks that you'd like to make before we round out the session here today.
No, just a big thank you to the in-home personal services team for joining us today. If anybody has any questions for them or doesn't know how to reach them or whatnot, you can always reach out to us at the WorkNet Center. We're at WorkNetBatavia.com. That's WorkNetBatavia.com. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any job search needs. But thank you to Yolanda and Adriana. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day and, of course, a great upcoming weekend. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thanks.